Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. I don't know about where you are, but in Newcastle, it is a lovely, lovely sunny day today. So hopefully that'll carry on through the weekend. But thank you for joining us in this instalment, the last instalment of the management reports series that we're running, and it is the quiz. So if you have attended at least 5 of the 6 webinars in the series, today, once you've completed the quiz, you'll receive your Credible badge. Exciting times. So without further ado, it's going to be myself and Jackie presenting the quiz for you today. Total of 18 questions. Let's go through the rules so we're all up to speed. First off, housekeeping. If you've been here before, you'll know these rules. If you haven't, then these are the rules, but I'm guessing you've all been to the webinars before, because this is the quiz to end off the series. So just briefly, microphone muted. We're not going to hear you cough or sneeze or sing into the radio, so don't worry, enjoy yourself. You won't interrupt anything that we're doing. There isn't a handout attached today, because it's basically just a refresher session, essentially, for you guys to test the knowledge that we've been imparting on you throughout the week. You still have the ability to ask questions. It's just going to be myself and Jackie today, so if you could have a wee bit of patience if you do have a question. One of us will try and answer them. If we can't answer it, we'll get in touch with you afterwards and give you the knowledge that you require, essentially. So what are we going to be covering in today's quiz? Well. First session was on nominal records. Then we went through chart of accounts, management reports, age reports, and then business dashboard yesterday. So this is going to be what we're focusing the questions on. So numbers 1 to 18, everything is going to be sectioned off to these categories, subcategories there. Now, obviously, taking part in the test is voluntary. There's no buttons for you to press on screen or anything like that at all. It's all going to be handwritten or note-taken of your own devices, and you're going to mark your own work as well. We don't mark them. This is all just a knowledge test for you, so have no fear. You don't have to email us results or anything like that at all. Just mark your own questions and be as honest as you can, because if there's a knowledge gap, you might want to watch that particular subject webinar again. If there's not a knowledge gap, then brilliant. Crack on with the next one. So it's just, again, bit of fun, opportunity to test that knowledge. There we go. So your responses to each question, once I've shown them on screen, they're going to be like polls. And once you've selected, that's you done, I will then, once it's reached 75 to 80% answered, so be quick on the buttons there, that's when I'll close the poll, I'll share the answers, and then once I've finished delivering the questions, Jackie will go through those answers, maybe with a demonstration or two, just to give you an idea of what the correct solutions are to the questions. Other than that, good luck. Good bit of fun, this one. Remember, marking your own, as always. So let us begin round 1. Nominal records, webinar that I held on Monday, and we started the series again yesterday. So if you cast your memories back to Monday, these questions are all going to be about the nominal records module. First question, number 1. Which of these is not a type of nominal code? Is it a bank account, a nominal account, a control account, or a suspense account? So we went through the 3 different types of nominal code that there can be. Which of these is not one of them? A bank account, a nominal account, a control account, or a suspense account? Some answers coming in very quickly there. Excellent. This is all very good. So this was the first, I think one of the first slides on Monday. Casting your memory back quite far for this one. Around about half of you have cast your answer in there. If we could just have a few more answers in, I'll be able to close that for you. Okay, so just a couple more seconds. I'm going to close the poll. And there we have it. I'm going to close that for you now. So let's have a look at the answers. this is where we went. So 42% went for suspense account, 26 bank account, and 18 and 40% across nominal and control account. Again, Jackie's going to go through the answers for these correctly at the end of the first round. So let's move on to the second question. You should be able to see it in front of you now. What is the default chart of accounts range for sales? Is it 2,000 to 2,299, 3,000 to 3,999, 4,000 to 4,499, or 7,000 to 8,999? So what is the default chart of accounts range for sales? Again, with it being default, you may have structured yours in a different way, so don't worry if you're looking at yours now for the answer and it's completely different to the numbers that you see in front of you there. You may have structured your own, you may have taken care of your own. But by default, when you first opened Sage 50, when it's brand new, out of the packet as it were, what is the range that we're looking for? Incredibly impressed with the speed in which a lot of you have answered that one there. Very good indeed. I'm going to close that poll in just a few seconds. So if you haven't answered, if you get your answer in now. There we are, closed. So let's see where most of us went there. So as you can see, 95% went for 4,000 to 4,099, 4% to 2,000 to 2,099, 1% 3,000 to 3,099. Again, all will be revealed with Jackie. So next question, back to the slides. So where can you go to check your control accounts? Where can you go to check your control accounts? Is it tools, control accounts, settings, company preferences, parameters, settings, control accounts, or view control accounts? This one's quite a tricky one. If you remember it, brilliant. If you've got your software open in front of you, maybe that could give you the answer. Can we get some answers in on this one? So again, don't worry if you are using your software for the answers. It's not cheating, it's just refreshing your memory. We're not marking these. You are. So where would you go to check your controlled accounts? It's a bit like an open book exam. Use your resources. Good chunk of you have voted now. So just waiting for a few more and we'll be able to close off that question. This was question 3. Superb. So we are at over 75%. So I'm going to close this poll off in just a couple of seconds' time. There we have it. Click close. There we go. And this is how we answered. So the majority went for settings, control accounts. A few at settings, company preferences, parameters, and view control accounts, and at least one for tools and control accounts. Well, all is going to be revealed as I hand over to Jackie now. So Jackie, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Matt. I'm just going to share the screen, so bear with me 1 second. Let me just share a different screen. We're not going to get any answers there. Okay, thank you very much for that, Matt. So yeah, that was a quick round, only 3 in that particular round there, which was based on the first session we did last Monday. We also repeated it yesterday, just in case any of you are thinking, I'm sure I was doing that one yesterday. Okay, so the first question, probably a little bit of a trick question, if I'm honest, because we asked you for a type of nominal code. Okay, now all will be revealed. There we go. So I believe, and I did jot these down, so bear with me, just find my page again, which I appropriately closed. Okay, so 42% of you said suspense account, which is the correct answer. Okay, so suspense account is in fact a nominal code, but it's not a type of nominal code. So nominal codes are split into 3 different types. They're either a bank account, just a general nominal account, which suspense would fall under, or a control account. So those are the 3 categories there. The next one, and as Matt said, this can depend on your structure. Okay, so if yours is different, that's not to say you're wrong, okay? But we wanted to know what the default chart of accounts was for sales. And believe it, 95% of you got this right, so that's absolutely fantastic. 4% said 2000 to 2299. That might be because you've got a different range, okay? And like I say, we just said to give it a go if you were unsure. So if you are unsure, we certainly aren't going to hold that against you. Now, just to show you where you can check yours, okay, because you might be in a situation where you do have your own range, just to show you where we're looking for this. Just see if I can find my my bar this morning. There we go. You can check yours by going into your nominal codes, going into chart of accounts at the top, selecting your chart of accounts that you're using. So you may have multiple like I have. Just going to go into this one here, go into edit. And once you've got into edit, you can see your chart of accounts. So you can then see I'm on my profit and loss. I've got my sales selected, and below it shows me what my range is from 4,000 to 4,999 there. Okay. So again, we're not recording your answers. We just want you to just jot down what you've put down, give yourself a mark. There's no way of us sort of marking this for you. Like we say, it's just a knowledge check there for you. Okay, so moving on to the final question of round 1. Let's pop back onto my slides. The last question there was, where can you go to check your control accounts? Now, I'm sorry, I did make this one a little bit tricky to see if anyone could remember, but it is in fact in settings and then control accounts. So again, I'm going to just show you where you can see these. So I'm just going to close down my chart of accounts. If we want to view our control accounts, we go into settings, and control accounts is here. And that does list all of the control accounts that you have in your software, which are the nominal codes which are used when there's automatic postings posted. So you can see there, these are the defaults that come with the software. Again, you may have amended yours slightly. So if yours are slightly different, you don't have to make it mirror mine. And I think 63% of you did in fact get that right. So well done on that one. 18% of you said company preferences, and that's probably a little bit of a red herring because a lot of the settings are in settings and company preferences, but not your control accounts. Okay, so that's round 1 over already. Round 2 is a slightly longer one, so we've got a few more questions there. But with that in mind, I'm going to just send you back to Matt.
Thank you very much, Jackie. So let's share my screen again. Hopefully you'll be able to see round 2. So this is all about the chart of accounts, which was held by Jackie earlier on in the week. Very knowledge strong area. Let's test that. So first question is going to be a picture round. Okay, so I'm going to give you some time just to have a look at this picture here. And what does the term partial mean in this screen? So what does the term partial mean? That screen there. I'll give you a few more seconds just to have a good look. As you can see in the picture to the right hand side, you've got default, layout of accounts, partial. What does that mean? I'm going to launch the poll for you now, so you should be able to see that in around about 20 seconds. Again, just the picture to the right hand side, default layout, accounts, partial. What does it mean? So if we get the answers coming in now, superb. Excellent. One range is enclosed with another. Ranges are overlapping. Nominal codes are not represented. A code is in one floating category, but not the equivalent, or any or all of the above. A lot of people have answered that very quickly. That was a good sign. We're around about 70% now, so I'm going to give you a few more seconds. I'm going to close that poll. I'm going to share where we went. Where did we go? So the majority went for any or all of the above. 30% for nominal codes are not represented. Again, Jackie will go through the answers with you on that one. Very quickly answered though, well done all. Next question, true or false this one? So a 50-50 chance if you don't know it. If we have your answers in, true or false, can you have multiple chart of accounts? So again, you can use your program to quickly check this. If you've only got one there, can it only be one? Could it be more? Could you add to it? True or false? You can have multiple chart of accounts. And if you're unsure, have a guess. Again, it's all just a knowledge test. It's all just a bit of fun. Brilliantly and quickly answered again. So a few more seconds. I'm going to close that question off. I'm going to close that now. So remember, if you haven't entered an answer into the poll, as long as you know the answer, you're marking it yourself. So to have the confidence in that. Let's see where we went. So the majority went for true. Again, Jackie will reveal all. Next question. What is a floating category? So what is a floating category? A category which can show on both the balance sheet and the profit and loss report. Is it a category which can be an asset or a liability, depending on a debit or credit balance? Could it be a group of nominal codes not included on the chart of accounts, or nominal codes causing errors in the chart of accounts? What is a floating category? You may not have encountered or used this particular feature in chart of accounts. Again, if you haven't, just have a guess. No harm. Again, this is being very quickly answered. So it seems like you were all paying very close attention to that webinar. Very good indeed. Superb. We've hit the magic 70%. So I'll give you all a few more seconds just to answer that question. Again, being self-marked, just as long as you know the answer, you can mark yourself on that one as well. Close that question off. And let's have a look and see where the majority went. So the majority went 89% to a category that can be an asset or a liability. And then a few scattered around on the other answers of A, C, and D there. Well, we're going to go through the answers now. So I'm going to pass over to Jackie and she can take it from here.
Okay, so thank you again there, Matt. I said that one was the longer one. I do apologise. Round 3 is the longer round, so apologies there for the confusion. Okay, so this was on the chart of accounts. We did do this session on Tuesday, and we are doing this again next week as well. So if you do think this is a bit of a grey area for you, you can catch that session again. Or if it's one of the ones you missed, then like I say, feel free to join us on that session. Okay, so the first question there was this one here. It was, what does the term partial mean on this screen? So the answer was actually all of the above. Okay, so the term partial on a chart of accounts means that you've got errors in that chart of accounts because you could have ranges enclosed within each other. You might have them overlapping, so codes are represented twice. You might have codes that are completely missing from the chart of accounts. And a common one we do see is where you've added a floating category on your assets, but not on your liabilities. So it could be any or all of the above. Now, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to demonstrate that now because I do have a partial one on my data set. And I think I gave away an answer to the next one as well when I showed you this earlier. So I'm just going back into my nominal codes. And in my nominal codes, I'm just going to go into chart of accounts. And as you can see, I've got a partial chart of accounts there. Now, what you can do to identify which of those is causing the problem is to go into edit and then check your chart of accounts. Now, what that will do, if you've got no errors, that's great. It will pop up to say there are no errors in this chart of accounts. But like me, I've got the option for preview, and that just means we can actually do a printout of what's causing this. So I've got a couple overlapping in my particular data set. So we just need to make sure that we don't have any overlapping ranges because they will be reported on twice. So I think 58% of you got that one right, so well done. But all of them are kind of a correct answer. So I would still give you a half mark if you ticked any of the other ones, but it was all of them. I'm just going to go back to my slides. I think my slides are just jumbled up a tad, so I'm just going to go back one. I think we got ahead of ourselves there. The next one was true or false, you can have multiple charts of accounts. Now, this is the one I think I gave away because I showed you in the previous demo my chart of accounts, and you could see I had multiple there. So we did get 92% if you got that right with true. Don't worry if you're the 8%, again, we don't hold that against you at all. Now, the next one was what is a floating category? Now, this is a really tricky one, and I think this was one that we maybe struggled to get across sometimes of exactly what a floating category is. But it is a category that can be an asset or a liability depending on a debit or credit balance. So think about your bank account, okay? If your bank account has money in the account, then that's an asset to your business. However, you may have gone overdrawn, in which case that's a liability. That's money owed back to the bank at some point. Now, again, just to show you where you can see that, in your chart of accounts, in your current assets and your current liabilities, which fall on the balance sheet, if we just select that, we have the floating nominal codes at the bottom. So we've got that extra box. But we also need to make sure if it's floating as an asset, it's also floating as a liability too. So that can sometimes cause the errors there. Back to the slides. And then it's also back to Matt. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jackie. I wasn't going to point out that Jackie had revealed an answer there. So I'm glad she fessed up to that one. So what I would do is when Jackie's doing her demonstrations, pay close attention because there may be a couple of answers that you can see on there. But yeah, very well done. Good round. Let me see now if you can all see my screen, which you can. Round 3. So the round 3 questions are all going to be based on trial balance, profit and loss, and balance sheet. As Jackie said, this is going to be a slightly longer round, so we'll get straight on with it. First question. You see that in front of you there? Is which of these reports uses the chart of accounts? Multi-select so you can choose a variety of these, okay? Which of these reports uses the chart of accounts? More than one answer. Trial balance, profit and loss, and balance sheet. Again, quite high calls on management reports. So I'm impressed so far with the amount of correct answers that we've seen. Seems like it's been a very beneficial series. So beneficial, in fact, we're running it again in May. So if you do struggle or you have missed a few sessions and you can't attend them next week, don't worry, we're doing this whole thing again in May for you as well. So which of these reports uses the chart of accounts? We've hit 70% there, so a few seconds, I'm going to close this poll for you all. That is done, and let's see where we went. So the majority went for profit and loss, balance sheet. Few, well, just over half, should I say, selected trial balance also. Next question. So, does the profit and loss year to date include brought forward balances? Yes or no? 50-50. So does the profit and loss year to date include brought forward balances? If you're unsure, you've got a 50% chance of getting it right with a guess. Or if you've used this area of the software before and you're able to, you could quickly check. So does the profit and loss year to date include brought forward balances? Getting some quick answers here. Very good. We're already at 70% answered, so we've got some confident answers. What we're going to do is close this poll in a few seconds. We'll see where the majority went. So the majority went no on that one. And Jackie will go through the answers with you at the end of this round. The extended round. A lot of information in this particular subject area. Next question. If you run a balance sheet from month 1 to month 12, would the balances in the period column and year-to-date column be equal? So a bit of a shortened version of the question is going to be available when you can select the poll. But again, just to repeat, if you run a balance sheet from month 1 to month 12, would the balances in the period column and year-to-date column be equal? Yes or no? Again, really quick answers on this one. Very good indeed. We're up to 50% already. So again, if you don't know this area of the software because you don't use it, it's not your particular field that you delve into, 50-50 chance. I'm going to close that poll now. Let's have a look. Majority went yes, 64%. Next question. Can you run a profit and loss for the next financial year? Again, this is a 50-50 one for you. It's a yes or a no. Can you run a profit and loss for the next financial year? We do have a magnificent tool in our help center called Report Finder. If you typed into our search on Sage website, sage.co.uk/help, which report, the question mark, you would get the Report Finder tool. And that'll help you navigate what reports are available for you. If you're struggling, you can type in keywords and it'll bring up suggestions. Again, reports are specific to the information you need from them. We can try and help you find that report, but again, it's all based on what you want that report to show. So have a look at that tool, sage.co.uk/help, which report question mark, type that in. I'm going to close that poll because again, it was answered very speedily. Let's see where the majority of us went. 87% said yes, with 13% saying no. Last question of the round. Hope you're all ready. So let's say you lost your profit and loss report for last year. How can you get a copy? So if you've lost your profit and loss reports for last year, for whatever reason that could be, hypothetical, how can you get a copy? Through the transactional profit and loss, through an archive, maybe a PDF copy, maybe profit and loss brought forward, or restore a practice company or a blank data set and run the report there. So how could you find it? How do you generate it? How do you get a copy of it? I believe this one is multi-answer. So we'll have a look. A lot of votes coming in. Again, it's all just a knowledge test, this one, so don't be too hard on yourself. If you don't know the answer to something, it's not going to be written down anywhere. It's just for yourselves, really. So we've received very quick answers to that one. I'm going to close that poll. And let's look where the majority place their chips, as it were. 85% archive. Love to see that. Then 54 and 56% PDF copy and restore and practice company data. Then we've got 46% transactional and 21% for P&L brought forward. Well, to go through the answers, back to Jackie.
Okay, so I'll just share the screen again. Okay, so this was our slightly longer round. We combined 2 sessions in this round because they were all on the same topic, which was running a trial balance, profit and loss and balance sheet report, and then also doing them for future and prior years as well. So the first one we had was which of these reports uses the chart of accounts. So there was 2 correct answers. We had 89 and 88% for those. And the one that it doesn't use the chart of accounts is the trial balance. Okay, the trial balance is literally every single nominal code listed with their debit or credit balance. So profit and loss and balance sheet, and you can check that by going into the chart of accounts, and it shows you exactly which 2 reports use that chart of accounts. There are other reports in the software that will use charts of accounts as well. So in your department, if you're using things like advanced budgets, etc., they'll also ask you for a chart of accounts. Okay, this is a tricky one. We got 37% of you said yes, 63% of you said no, and that was, does the profit and loss year to date include brought forward balances? So this is where you just need to think about the type of report that you're running. So a profit and loss at the end of the year, when you run your year end, you clear down your year to date figures. So there shouldn't be, unless something's gone wrong, any brought forward balances. So the answer to that one was in fact no. Okay, this is a tricky one. If you run a balance sheet from month 1 to month 12, would the balances in the period column and the year to date column be equal? So we got 64% of you saying yes on this one, and 36% of you said no, which is the correct answer. And I'll just very quickly show you this with an example there. And again, it's about thinking about your type of report you're running. So a balance sheet is a cumulative report. So this does include your brought forward balances, and that's why I run it for a period. And although there's nothing for that period in month 1 to 12, there is still something in the year to date. Okay, we've got a value here. So we'll just drill into this so I can sort of really prove the point there. When we drill into this, you can see my individual nominal codes. I'll just pick the top balance there, but you can see what's causing that balance is actually transactions from the past. Okay, so the balance sheet includes those brought forward balances in your year-to-date column, whereas your period is literally just looking at that 12 months that you specified. No brought forward is included. Pop back to the slides. Question 4, can you run a profit and loss for the next financial year? So on this one, we got 87% of you actually said yes, and only 13% of you said no. So the answer is yes. There's just probably some things to consider if you're trying to run it for the next financial year. So you can't do it as standard, just using a simple profit and loss. What you're probably looking at doing is running a transactional profit and loss if you have access to that and you're on professional. If you can't do that, then what you could do, there are other options. You could take a backup of your data and restore that elsewhere. Now that might be into a blank data set. So if you've got a multi-company license, you've got a spare data set, you could run it, restore it into there, run your year end, and then run a standard profit and loss. I appreciate that's a bit laborious, but you also have the option for practice data now. So you can in fact restore a data set into your practice data. Now it won't hold that information, so once you close practice data, the data will be lost, but there is an option for you there. And the last one, there was a few answers, and we got quite a few answers as well. So this is, you've lost your profit and loss report for last year, very easily done. How can you get a copy? So one would be to run the transactional profit and loss. You probably need to exclude your year-end journals if they were present. You could use an archive. Now this personally for me would be your best option. So that's why I always say as default, take an archive at your year end. If you've got a PDF copy somewhere, you might have saved that somewhere thinking ahead. Or again, you could restore your data into the practice or company or a blank data set and then rerun the report. So if you had a pre-year end backup, you could restore that and use that. Okay, that moves on to round 4. So back to Matt for the next set of questions.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Hello, everybody again. Very well done in that round, by the way. Got to say, it wasn't an easy round, that one. But very impressed with the answers that were coming in and the speed at which they were answered as well, to be honest. Shows confidence. Well done. Now let's go to round 4, which is all on aged reconciliation reports. So question 1, without further ado. See that in front of you now. What should you do to ensure all customers are included in your aged debtors report? What should you do? Should you select the records that currently have a balance, remove any filters, include inactive records, or click clear to ensure no records are selected? Multi-answer this one. So when you see the poll there, answer what you can. What should you do to ensure all customers are included in your aged debtors reports? Select the records that currently have a balance, remove any filters, include inactive records, click clear to ensure no records are selected. This is another good question. I think this was created by either Michael or Jackie, one of the two. Very good question though. So pick as many as you think apply. Jot them down. Make your selections on the screen. We have nearly approached the magic 70% number, which we have done. So I'm going to close this poll in just a wee moment, a couple of seconds. So last call for answers on that, and there we go. So this is where the majority went for that one. The majority, remove any filters and include inactive records. Really good answering there. And click to ensure no records are selected. 27% select records with a balance as well. Next question is to retrospectively calculate your aged debtors. What should you do when running the report? Should you ensure you run the report for the correct period? Select the tick box to include future transactions, or select the tick box to exclude later payments. So to retrospectively calculate your aged debtors report, what should you do when you're running the report? Multi-answer on this one. Fire away again. Ensure you run the report for the correct period. Select the tick box to include future transactions, and select the tick box to exclude later payments. Answers coming in now. Again, could be a quick check of your software to see, or you could know this knowledge already. If not, have a guess. Again, we're not going to be too strict with the marking because we aren't marking them, you are. So you can be as strict as you like. But if it is a knowledge gap, then sign up to the webinar again, the repeat webinar, sage.co.uk/webinars, have a look there, get registered. You can't obviously have 2 badges. Be good if you could, but you can't. You can just have 1 accreditable badge for this particular topic anyway. You get signed up, but just refresh that knowledge if you need it. I'm going to close that question off now because the majority of you have answered that. Let's have a look where the majority went as well. Superb. 92% select the tick box to exclude later payments, and then a lot of 83% ensure you run the report for the correct period. Next question. When comparing the trial balance to the balance sheet, why would the debtors figure be different? So when you're comparing your trial balance to the balance sheet, what will the reason be for the debtors figure being different? Is it the journals have been posted to the debtors control account? The errors in the chart of accounts? Or a filter has been applied to the nominal list? One answer on this one. So when comparing the trial balance to the balance sheet, why would the debtors figure be different? Again, although I keep saying you're answering quickly, it's obviously good to get the answer correct rather than the fastest, but it does impress me at the speed in which these are answered. It just shows that confidence in knowledge. So when comparing the trial balance to the balance sheet, why would the debtors figure be different? We're already at the 70% figure, so just a few more seconds now to get your answers in. And I'm going to close that poll off. Let's have a look where the majority went. So 75% when for journals have been posted to the debtors control account. And with that, we move to the answers. Back over to you, Jackie.
Okay, thank you very much there. I have noticed an error in my own responses here, so apologies. I will point that out very clearly for you because I want to make sure that you get all the marks you can there. Okay, so aged reconciliation. This was done by Michael yesterday. If it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. I'm losing track of all these sessions. So first of all, it was what should you do to ensure all customers are included in your aged debtors reports? And to be honest, this was reflected in the answers. So only 27% of you said to select those that currently have a balance. The other three were correct. So we had 94% of you to say remove filters. And I remember Michael saying it quite a few times about clearing. You would include inactive records and also clear to ensure no records are selected. So when we say clear, to make sure no records are selected, go into your customers. What you need to make sure is your inactive are included. And then just to be on the safe side, I always say swap. That highlights everything in clear, and that clears any selections. And when you run the report, it will run it for absolutely all of your customers. You're not going to miss anybody off there. The next one was to retrospectively calculate your aged debtors. What should you do when you're running the report? So say, for example, we wanted to run our aged debtors to see all of the balances that were outstanding on the 28th of February. We'd run it up to the 28th of February. We also need to tick one of the boxes, and the box is to exclude later payments. Okay, we want to see exactly what was outstanding then. So we don't want to include any payments made in March. So we need to exclude those. So to do this, I'll just show you the feature. Just pop onto my data set. When you're in reports, find your aged debtors. I'm just going to use the top one. You need to pop in your correct date range you're running it up to, and it's this one here, the exclude later payments. Tick that box and that will show you where your positioning was at the end of February in my case. Just come out of there. Now this one is where I've gone slightly wrong, so please bear with me. I noticed straight away I was like, I've lost a green here. So when comparing your trial balance to your balance sheet, why would your balance sheet be different to the debtors figure? Okay, so you're comparing your balance sheet figure and your debtors control account nominal code balance. Okay, so one could be chart of accounts because you've missed some of the codes. They're not showing on your trial balance on the report. In fact, bear with me one moment, it's the trial balance. It could also be that journals have been posted to your debtors control account. Okay, so errors in the balance sheet means that the balance sheet will not be picking up those nominal codes, but the other one that I've missed off, and I do apologise, that 75% of you got right, was journals. Okay, if you've posted a journal to the debtors control account, that means it's not going to be picked up when you're running your aged debtors reports. Okay, so you might find a difference there. Now, it's not to say that's wrong. We did have a lot of questions on the session around that. For example, my accountant or my predecessor posted something 5 years ago. What do I do to fix that? If you're going to move it, you need to know where to move it to. Okay, so it's not always a problem. You might just need to reconcile that there is always a difference there. And filter applied to the nominal list, that shouldn't make any difference when running the trial balance because it runs it for all of your nominal codes. So apologies for that one. 1 and 2 were correct in that scenario. Okay, I can't believe we're nearly there. It's time for the final round. So again, I'm going to pop you back to Matt one final time for the final round.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much, Jackie. So yeah, very good scores in that round. Very well done indeed. And Jackie is quite correct. Final round. So if you feel like you haven't done so well, this is the chance of redemption. If you're doing brilliantly, then let's continue that form into the last set of questions. First question. What is the primary purpose of the business dashboard? So what is the primary purpose of the business dashboard? Is it to manage customer interactions, to provide key business data at a glance, to create invoices, or to track employee performance? So what's the primary purpose of it? If you're looking at your business dashboard now, what do you glean from that? Again, really quick answers coming in here. Superb, it's all looking good. That is the quickest that you have all answered the question. So what I'm going to do is close that poll now and share with you the response. 100% have said to provide key business data at a glance. Need we say more? So I'm going to hide that now. Next question. In which version was business dashboards introduced? So in which version was business dashboards introduced? So the keen listeners to the webinars would have picked up on this when Abby was going through it. Version 27, 28, 29, or 30? When was it introduced? If you've used Sage for a long time, you might have noticed this welcome addition to the program itself. And already floods of answers are coming in. If you don't know it, it's not going to be detrimental for your day-to-day processing. Again, just a bit of a fun quiz, bit of a fun question here. When was it popped in there? When was it evident in the software? I'm going to close that question off now and reveal where the majority went. 69% in version 28. There we have it. So, next question. In which variant is this business dashboards available? I'm struggling with those words today, aren't I? So in which variant is business dashboards available? Is it essentials, standard, professional, all of the above? What you could do here is use your software and have a look. That's as far as I'm going to telling you what the answer is. Jackie shall reveal all that in, I was going to say the next round, but when I hand over to her. In which variant is business dashboards available? Essentials, standard, professional, all of the above. Superb. I'm going to close that poll shortly because the majority have answered. And let's share where we have voted. 72% all of the above, 26% professional, and 1% in standard. Next question, and also final question. So fingers on the buzzers. Here we go. True or false? You can use existing dashboard templates. True or false? So 50-50 on this one. You can use existing dashboard templates or templates. So yes or no this one. So again, if this is the question that you think could break your scores, be honest, might just be a little knowledge gap. Re-sign up to dashboards. Very informative webinar from Abby. Very busy one. A lot of questions during it. I believe this was one of the questions that was asked and answered. So you can use existing dashboard templates, true or false. And that is it. I'm going to close that question off. And 100% went true. I wonder indeed. So if I hide that poll now, I'm going to pass you over to Jackie, and I just want to say thank you all for paying attention. And now here's Jackie with the answers.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Matt. Okay, so this was the session done yesterday with Abby. Again, if you missed this one, it is a really popular one once people understand what the business dashboard does. And there was some great ideas yesterday as well. So if you find you're using the business dashboard and it's not quite doing what you want, you can always submit your requests for change on our Sage Community Hub. So we had quite a few really good ideas. We're always taking on board your ideas. So the first one was, what's the primary purpose of the business dashboard? And it is to give key business data at a glance. Okay, so it's that really high level information. Just want a quick glance at my data, see where my business is. That's what the business dashboard provides you with. The next one, we had a couple around where you can access the business dashboard. So again, we get lots of people say, I can't see that. So sometimes it's due to your access rights, but sometimes it's due to your version number. So it did come in version 28. So if you're on a slightly lower version, you may not see that option until you upgrade. So it was version 28 that one appeared. So for your responses, I believe it was 69% of you responded with the correct answer. Now the next one was, which variant is business dashboards available in? And it is all of the above, so it doesn't matter even if you're using essentials, it is available in all of those. Now I'm going to show you something that might help you going forward, especially on our sessions, and this is where to see what variant you're using. Okay, so quite often we get questions around, I can't see a feature. You can find this out by going into Help and About. And in Help and About, there is a section that gives you information about the software you have and what version you're running. So if we just bear with me 1 second, it's over here right in the middle, so it's not something you have to scroll down for. It may say Sage 50 Accounts, it may say Sage 50 Essentials, it may say Professional, and that just helps us quite often on the webinars where we can get a little bit more information out of you to provide you with the fullest answer possible. So just in case we ask you what variant you're using. Okay, the last question, 100% of you answered true on this one. So I really do hope it's correct, but I think all of you were listening intently to that session yesterday. So yes, you can use existing templates on the dashboard. You can do a dashboard through Business Dashboard here, and you can go to New Dashboard and you have 3 templates for Business Overview, Supplier Overview, and Customer Overview. Okay, and that will give you some of the widgets that we've created based on that area. So there are templates. You can also add in your own ones, so you can customize them too if you wish to do so. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the quiz. Now, if you've done well and you want to share, by all means, you can pop your answers in the chat. Don't worry, not everyone will see them. So I'm not going to share them to share with everyone. If you didn't do so well and you still want to share, please do still share. It's really interesting to see what people have scored. This is the only way we can gauge how well you've done. We can't, like I say, look at the poll information afterwards. So please do be brave and pop your answers in there. We'll certainly not call them out. While we're doing that though, I do just want to explain the badging process. Okay, so also if you've got any questions, get your questions across to us as well. We'll see if we can get those answered for you. So the badge process is based on your email address. Okay, so there's nothing you need to do right now other than make sure that you attend the correct number of sessions. Okay, so we're doing 6 sessions. We'd love you to attend 5 plus this quiz that you're here today with. And once you've attended 5 plus the quiz, my system will let me know who is eligible for the badge. Okay, I will then send out the badges by the end of the month, try and just give us a little bit of time to process that data, and we'll get those badges issued to you by the end of the month. And that will come via email. Okay, now I am going to show the video. You've probably seen this on every session this week, but there is a really important thing to note on here is the email address this will come from. Okay, it's not a Sage email. It's a third party, and I just want you to know what that is because I don't want it to end up in your junk folders. Okay, so this quite often happens. We get people follow up with us and say, I haven't got the email, and actually it's just gone to junk because it comes from a third party. Okay. Quick question there around, is there a minimum correct answers? No, the attendance is all we require. We just want to see that you're joining us on the session and you're joining in. That's all we want to see. So please don't worry if you've got them wrong. We're certainly not marking, and there's no minimum pass mark for your badge. You being here today, getting stuck in is what we look for. I'm going to play this video. Please do keep your answers coming through, or any comments. That's absolutely fab. This is about 2 minutes long, but it does give you the information on what to expect at the end of the month when you get your email. Okay, just back to my screen there. So some really good comments, questions, and requests on there. So thank you so much everyone for just getting stuck in there and sending them across. One of my favorite comments of the week is, can we take the quiz again next week? Absolutely. There's nothing to say if you've come today, you can't come to another session. And I appreciate some people will probably think, I want to go one better next week. So absolutely, you're more than welcome to join the quiz more than once. It would be great to see you there. But I just wanted to quickly talk about what happens beyond the badge. Okay, so after the badge, we revert to our normal schedule, and we've got some great topics that really do tie in nicely with management reports. One which is a bit off topic is Copilot. So Copilot is a new feature. We've got a session this afternoon, and that will show you how to use Copilot. No commitment to use it if it's not quite for you, but you can see what it could do for you. But beyond that, we're starting to look at some other reporting. So I'm just going to scroll down our page. So this is sage.co.uk/webinars. And in here, it gives you all our live sessions. So I'm just going to scroll down a little bit further because we've got Report Designer. So Matt did sort of touch on this before about Report Designer and customizing reports, but we've got a session about how to get the most out of your session before committing to Report Designer. There's ways in which you can use the software to get the information out without really committing to the sort of trickier elements of report design. Batch reporting is a great way of running reports all at once. So that's another good session, and then year end and beyond. So please do check those out. Okay, now I appreciate we are bang on time today. I'm absolutely over the moon with that because I don't like to run over for you. So thank you so much for joining us. If you are leaving, thank you so much. Take care, and we'll see you on another session soon. We absolutely loved doing this week. It's been a fab week. And thank you again for your comments. There's been some lovely comments there, so I really do appreciate your comments as well. I'll let you go now, okay? If you can go and enjoy some sunshine over your lunch break. Take care, everyone. We'll see you on another session soon. Bye for now.